Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Yes, she's local. She comes down from Otaki today as our Gail Hall, who's going to give us a film review of the film Borg versus McEnroe. Good morning, Gail.
Good morning, Nigel.
You singing carols all the way down in your camper van, were you, today?
Yes, Merry Christmas to everyone.
That's good.
I must admit, Nigel, sitting yesterday at the cinema, it was lovely, air conditioning on, beautiful,
yes.
Hot outside.
Yes.
I loved it.
Good.
Sitting there
Yes.
was great.
Just a cup of coffee or a glass of wine?
Yeah, just a glass of something.
Oh, I see. Right. Water. Good on you, Gail. It's lovely theatre. Now, the film, what did you think of this film?
Well, I'm going to explain to you that
Yes.
Borg versus McEnroe is just a little bit not all about tennis.
Right.
So it's directed by Janos Mertz, and I must admit I had to sort of look that up and see whether it was a female or a male,
Yes.
because Janos is a little bit suspect, could be either, which he described as more of a psychological drama than a tennis movie, and I must admit that I do agree with him,
Yes.
because it is a little bit like that, and it's a Swedish film, so there are some subtitles, but not right throughout, but nothing to worry about. And of course a movie with John McEnroe in it has some expletives, but honestly, look,
Tennis
I wouldn't even worry.
No.
Well, tennis expletives, but I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. It wasn't too much, and it sort of went with the thing.
Yes.
He was played by, I hope I pronounce it right, because this is a lot of Swedish here, Shia Leboeuf. He plays McEnroe, not exactly an American-sounding name, I thought, but he was also born in Germany and a left-handed player. Right. So that was interesting, I thought.
Yes.
And Borg was played by Sareria Gudnason. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
If not, we'll never know.
No. And I felt that he had a remarkable likeness to actually Borg himself.
Oh, right.
I really did feel that.
Yes.
And the mentor and coach to Borg, Lennart, played by Stellan Skarsgård, is very good, and I've actually seen him in other movies, and he plays the role well and gives a really, really good performance.
Oh, good.
So those were your three pivotal
Yes.
actors, but well supported by, like Borg's girlfriend, the respective parents and other people in the show, but these are your three central figures in the movie. The movie itself is centred around the 1980 Wimbledon championship final between these two gladiators, I called them. Of course, Borg being ranked number 1 and McEnroe number 2. At Wimbledon, so the commentators said, it was the first booing that they'd ever had when McEnroe walked on the court.
Oh.
And actually, watching the film, I really did feel sorry for him.
Yes.
And in that particular match, it was the longest line break in Wimbledon history.
Goodness.
And that was in the 4th set.
Yes.
So if you understand tennis, you'll know what I'm, talking about.
Yes. So they had this is clips from that particular...
Yeah, they did actually.
Right.
Yes, they had clips. But we sort of started off, you get flashbacks to, to when they're younger, and of
Yes.
course as they, when they're, two giants in the tennis game. But the flashback to Borg's youth, and it starts off with the young Borg, slamming his tennis racket against the, garage door with a tennis racket and just practicing. And you might be interested to know that the young Borg was actually played by Bjorn Borg's son.
Oh, is that
yeah,
right?
so that was an interesting
Yes,
thing.
yeah.
And anyway, he was singled out at a school tournament by the coach Lennart,
Yes.
who singled him out and actually mentored him. And to be quite honest, in his younger days, and I'm talking about teenage days, he was a little bit of a McEnroe himself, because you saw him lose control and, do the old tennis racket slamming and
Yes.
a little bit bad language to his coach, who was, really quite his senior and, a little bit disrespectful. But anyway...
That's what top sportsmen do. That's why they get to the top. They hate themselves when they don't do it right.
Well, his coach said to him, Lennart said to him, "Do you want to be the best tennis player in Sweden?" And he goes, no in the world. So, I mean, that was quite a poignant moment there.
Yes.
But moving on to John McEnroe, on the other hand, he didn't have such a encouraging appearance in the way of his tennis ability. They were sort of more on the academic side, and John McEnroe was quite a bright student and top of his class. Quite a genius, really.
Yes.
And when the parents had their little, dinner gatherings, poor John was like a show pony, and
yes.
they would sort of throw these mathematical equations at him and expect him to sort of add them up in his head, and he was a bit on show, and I sort of really felt quite sorry for him.
Yes.
But anyway. He was a bit of a party animal, and was really the complete opposite to Borg, and beating Oni Parrin in the Davis Cup took the world by storm.
New Zealander.
And yes, and
they showed some of that.
No, they didn't.
Right, okay.
No, they didn't.
Right.
And he decided then that this was his life.
Right.
This was his life. So he was only 21 years old when he played in Wimbledon, his first Wimbledon time, and the commentator at the court remarks that he, meaning John, is the worst representation of an American since Al Capone. And I thought that was quite strong. Yeah,
What?
I thought that was quite strong. Borg, on the other hand, was no good with pressure. And believe it or not, I mean, he was later on. He was sort of like quite the gentleman of sport, but he couldn't stand the pressure, and he was really frightened of being beaten by McEnroe.
Right.
You know, but he was obsessive.
Yes.
Now, when he went to Wimbledon, he had to go in the same car. When he found out that it had different upholstery, he demanded that it be changed. He had to have his two towels set there on the stool, exactly so far apart. He had to sit in the same chair, and his parents, when they came to watch Wimbledon, had to actually wear the same clothes.
Wow.
And even then, when it was a break apart,
yes.
But it really is, he was really obsessive, and he used to take his pulse before a match. He used to take it, and if it was below 50 or something like that, he'd panic. But it was exactly as Janus described it. More psychological than, and you don't have to be a tennis player to enjoy this movie. I mean, if you understand tennis, good. That's, 100 brownie points if you do. But you don't have to.
No.
And this is what makes it so exciting.
Great stuff.
It's really, really good. And, I think...
Out of 10, what would you give it?
Oh, I would give it 8.5 out of 10.
Right.
And Nigel, they went on to become very, very good friends. One lovely moment at the airport that both played. Borg had taken the King Prize, the cup. And they were both there. They looked at each other. McDonald goes round and they hug and said, "Wasn't that a good match?"
McEnroe.
Or something to those things.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was great.
Yes.
And apparently he went on to be one of his best friends and was best man at his wedding.
Well, there we are.
So there you are.
It's just the tenseness when you get to the top. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But very, very good.
Good.
Very good. I loved it.
Worth going to see. And it's on for a while, I should imagine, too.
It's on for a while, yes. And once that's over, there's some good stuff coming up,
yes.
Nigel.
1 or 2 kids' movies as well, too, I should imagine.
Paddington 2,
All
which
right.
is a good start for the,
Yes.
for the summer break.
Yes.
And just a little quotation here that I picked up. It takes a bear to catch a thief. So I think, that will be really good for the kids. But another one, and I'm looking at this wonderful brochure in front of me.
Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman. Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
I reckon that's going to be that'll fill the seats, Nigel.
Good on you.
Yep.
Thanks, Gail. Don't forget to get your vouchers from Shoreline Cinema. It's a good stocking filler. And you can get the vouchers for 10 or more movies or just the one movie. And add a little bit of extra on it. There's an ice cream or coffee or something. They do all that at Shoreline Cinema over the Christmas period. They'll be open. Have you got they'll be closed Christmas Day, but Boxing Day, are they open, does it say?
The latest one I've got only goes up, sorry Nigel, to
That's
the
okay.
20th. But
I must find that
this
out.
says it's starting Boxing Day.
Oh, there we are.
So I should
Just
imagine
close Christmas
that
Day.
Christmas Day and then Boxing Day, you're off again in a comfortable seat.
Gail, you have a lovely Christmas and you'll be back again sometime soon, I should imagine.
Yeah, in January, Nigel.
January.
Yeah, so have a good Christmas and Happy New Year to all your listeners.
Thank you very much indeed. There we are, Gail Hall, with her film review, a good film review of Borg vs McEnroe.
106.3 Beach FM.